So FHA loans, are they harder to close, and are they affected by the government shutdown? And the answer to both of those is no. If anything, I would say that FHA loans are easier to close because they are much less restrictive on a myriad of different issues than conventional. You can have collection accounts, you can have charge-offs where you let a car go, or you got evicted from an apartment, you still owe them $10,000, and they've tried to collect it from you for 5 years and just said, you know what, fine, we give up. All of that stuff would be an issue for conventional. It's not an issue for FHA. You can close it with a 580 credit score. So like the borrower profile for FHA compared to conventional is so much more permissive on a lot of different things. Now there are some caveats, like with everything. I think I say that on every video. There are some additional health and safety items for FHA on an appraisal that are needed. So like the actual inspection that an appraiser is doing on an FHA loan is going to be a little bit more thorough than what a conventional appraiser is required to do. As far as loan qualifications, they're a little bit stricter on length of employment. So like having a 2-year employment history is pretty much a non-negotiable with FHA, whereas conventional, you can have a little bit more flexibility. We are required to source gift funds. So like if you're getting a gift for down payment on FHA, we're actually required to get the gift donors, so whoever's giving you the gift, we're required to get 2 months worth of their statements and do a look back on them as well. Whereas conventional, we don't need to look at the donor statements. You can just get a gift from a family member and they're not going to look at where it came from. They're just going to see that it came from that family member. So there are some additional like little hoops that we have to jump through, but if I'm doing my job properly, thoroughly, the good thing is I know, all these things kind of off the top of my head. So, we just know if we're doing an FHA loan, we look a little bit more into that stuff and make sure that all the pieces line up before we get too far into it, make sure we don't have any issues. Are they affected by the government shutdown? Nope, absolutely not. That has nothing to do with anything, since FHA, HUD, basically, they are not actually the ones who are giving the money for these loans. That's a common misconception. HUD, for an FHA loan, basically just creates a set of guidelines that private lenders have to follow in order for a loan to be insurable against loss. So, for example, if you take out an FHA loan and you don't pay the bank back, say Chase Bank, for example, you don't pay Chase Bank back, they are going to get actually an insurance policy that as long as they follow the FHA guidelines for your loan, the government will pay them out an insurance policy that covers the cost of them actually going to auction and taking the house back and all that stuff. So, the government shutdown has nothing to do with an FHA loan. You can still absolutely get FHA financing while the government is shut down. It doesn't affect your ability to do that at all.